Welcome students. In this video, we will study about the expansion of British power or how the British, who were basically a trader or who came to India as a trader, they controlled the entire country. So the chapter is chapter 2 of history, that is the expansion of British. In England, it was the industrial revolution that has taken place, due to which the goods they were produced on a bulk scale, and for industries, for greater industrial production, the raw material was also required. So the merchants and traders, they started looking for different places outside the country, and as a result, different European countries, they formed trading companies for trading in the east. Because why east, why not west? Because from the eastern countries the trade was already going on from prehistoric times, which included the spices, the silk, and other such valuable and costly items. The companies, they were formed in different European countries to trade in the east. In Britain, one such company was formed, and this company came to be known as the English East India Company. This company was started by some merchants, some British merchants. And how this company got the rights to trade and why this company came to be known as the East India Company, because in the year 1600, Queen Elizabeth of England, Queen Elizabeth I of England, she gave a charter. Charter is the royal order or the order by kings or queens. So she gave a royal charter and granted permission for exclusive trade rights to the English East India Company to trade in the east direction. This East India Company, it arrived on the shores of India, and when it arrived, it was Emperor Jahangir, Mughal Emperor Jahangir, who was ruling India. He gave the permission to the English merchants to set up their trade in India. Now it was Britain, but in the beginning I just told that European countries, they formed trading companies. So who were other European countries? The countries like Portugal, Holland, England, France, and Denmark. They also formed trading companies, and these companies, they entered on the Indian soil, where they set up their trading centers and named them as factories. Why factories? As we know, factories are the places where production is done, but here by factories the Britishers, they meant the centers where their officers or the British employees, they used to live, and these officials of the companies, they were called factors. That's why this name factory was given to the place where the factors or the British officials, British company officials, they used to live. And some of them, they have houses of the officials and residential quarters of the merchants who were coming to India for trade. And some of these factories, these trading centers, they were especially set up in coastal areas. Why? Because it was the sea route which was discovered, and this sea route was important link. And if the factories or these trading centers, they are established near the coastal areas, it will be easy for the loading and unloading of the goods. And most of these trading centers or the factories, they were later on fortified, but means the forts were built around them for their protection. Now when so many companies were there, it led to trade rivalry, because all of them, they are trading with the same land, that is same country. And the items of trade, they were spices including pepper, clove, cardamom, cinnamon. These were the prominent spices which were traded. Along with this, cotton, silk, indigo, all these items, all such items, they were included in the trade. So, numerous trading companies, same country, it led to intense rivalry between these trading companies, rivalry regarding control of trade in order to gain more and more profits. But since many companies were there, so the profits of each of the companies started shrinking, and they thought कि if in order to stay in the competition or in order to increase their profits, they have to eliminate the competitors and they have to ensure restoring trade monopoly. Now, what is this monopoly? Monopoly is a trade practice in which only one company or a trader is there that is selling the goods to all the people in the country or the place. No other dealer or trader can enter in this market. So it was a trial, or it was an attempt to control the entire country and to use the entire country for trade. That is called trade monopoly, and this led to the ousting of Portuguese, the Dutch, and the Danes. Danes, that is the Danish, because Denmark was also there. The traders from Denmark, they also came to India. So this Danes is for Danish traders or the traders from Denmark. So these Portuguese, the Dutch, the traders from Holland, and the traders from Denmark, they were ousted, and only two key players, that is the English East India Company and the French, they were only left, and they became the key players. And in order to control over other, they fought a series of wars, and this wars between French and English, they were fought in the Carnatic region, that is the present day Tamil Nadu, and this trade wars between English and French came to be known as the Carnatic Wars. This win of the Britishers over the French made them establish their supremacy in India, and they marched forward on finding the suitable conditions and weak political conditions. They started their journey from Bengal. Bengal is a very important place in British history as well as in Indian history, because it was the province which came under the control of British first, and then from here they started annexing the other Indian territories, and after continuous attempts they conquered the whole India. How it happened? Let us see. It was in 1717 when the Britishers, they got export and import rights without paying any custom duty to the Bengal province. And customs duty, as all of us know, it's a very important source of revenue for the state. So the Britishers, they succeeded in obtaining this privilege, but some of the British, this privilege was given to the British East India Company, not to the private traders. But some of the officials of the British East India Company, they were involved in private trade also. Taking advantage of this relaxation, they also started neglecting or not paying the custom duty. Then the ruler of Bengal, Alivardi Khan, he laid two conditions, because he didn't like the Britishers, as they were creating huge damages and it was creating a huge loss for the state of Bengal. He laid two conditions. What were the conditions? He said that the company officials who were engaged in private trade have to pay the customs duty. Otherwise, if they will not pay the customs duty, this privilege of not paying the customs duty on export and import will be withdrawn from the company also. As well as he also said that the company shall not extend its fortifications. That is, the company was extending its number of forts. It was fortifying all the trade centers. That is, it was building forts near the trade centers by the name we are having lots of goods, so we can keep them in safe custody. That's why we are building forts. But Alivardi Khan, he was a wise ruler. He recognized the British ideology, and then he said the company is not allowed to extend its fortification in Bengal. So in 1756, it became a major issue when the then Nawab Sirajud-Dowlah he asked the company to remove the fortifications in Calcutta. To this, the company refused, and on 23rd June 1757, the British forces, under the leadership of Robert Clive, they met Sirajud-Dowlah's army, and the Nawab's army was defeated. The main reason for this defeat was the conspiracy of Mir Jafar, the commander-in-chief of the Nawab. And since he was the commander-in-chief, a major portion of the Nawab's army didn't fought and they did not participate in the battle. This was because Mir Jafar, he was promised by the Britishers he will be made as a new Nawab of Bengal after the defeat of Sirajud-Dowlah. The Britishers, they kept their words. They made Mir Jafar the Nawab of Bengal, but when Mir Jafar retaliated to the demands of British, he was replaced by Mir Qasim. Again, Mir Qasim, being a puppet ruler, he gave the rights to collect revenue to the British company, to collect revenue from three provinces, three districts of the Bengal province. And he also, later on when he came to know and he tried to free himself from the British control, he again fought with the Britishers, and the Britishers defeated Mir Qasim at the Battle of Buxar. What happened then? This battle is one of the most famous battles. Mir Qasim, when he was defeated by the Britishers, he fled. And he fled and he formed an alliance. He fled to Awadh, formed the alliance with Shujaud-Dowlah, the Nawab of Awadh, and Shah Alam II, the Mughal emperor. Since Mughal empire was also there during the British time, but it was not so consolidated and not so powerful. It no longer became powerful with the death of the Aurangzeb. Then these allied forces of Shah Alam, Shujaud-Dowlah and Mir Qasim, they fought battle with the British force on 22nd of October 1764 at Plassey. This place is now known as Plassey, and this battle came to be known as the Battle of Plassey. In this battle, the Indian army was defeated, and as a result, Mir Jafar was made the Nawab again, and the company was given the Diwani of Bengal, that is the right to collect revenue from Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. And this led to establishment of dual government in Bengal, and Mir Jafar was made the Nawab and Mir Qasim was deposed by the Britishers. It was after this the Governor General of the Bengal, that is Warren Hastings, he embarked on further expansion of British influence in India. And at that time, this, especially during the second half of 18th century, the kingdoms of Mysore and the Marathas, these were the strongest rivals of British. Why Mysore was important? Because Mysore was controlling the spice trade. Mysore didn't want, the rulers of Mysore, especially Hyder Ali, who carved out the kingdom of Mysore, and his son Tipu Sultan, they didn't like Britishers, and Tipu Sultan especially, he didn't want Britishers to enter into the spice trade through Mysore. That's why the British forces, they fought with the Mysore kingdom, and 4 wars were fought, and these wars came to be known as Anglo-Mysore War. Anglo refers to Britishers, the wars in which Britishers was the first party and second was the state. Similarly, we have Anglo-Maratha War. So Anglo-Mysore wars were fought between Mysore and the British from in the period of 33 years, and in the fourth war, that is in 1799, the fourth Anglo-Mysore war, Tipu Sultan was defeated and he died when he was fighting to save or protect his capital Seringapatam. Then the Britishers, they tried, after capturing Mysore, they tried to control Marathas. The Marathas, they were already weak after the third battle of Plassey. The Marathas was headed by the Peshwa. The head of the Marathas was Peshwa. So there were three wars which were fought between the Anglo, that is British, and the Marathas. So in the third Anglo-Maratha war that was fought in 1817 and lasted in 1819, Marathas were defeated and the Peshwa, that is the ruler of Maratha Confederacy, he was exiled to North India. This established the Britishers in the entire North India and they started controlling. In the next part or next video, we will see the British policies of annexation, the doctrines introduced by Lord Dalhousie, the doctrine of lapse and other such doctrines, how these doctrines they led to establishment and annexing of Indian kingdoms by the Britishers. Thank you.